Hey everybody, this is Intro Mind here, and giving my review of Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker, which is a terrible title. So at first, I'm going to kind of just give my impressions overall, and then I'm going to go into spoilers later on in the video. Kind of want to apologize in advance. Kind of just woke up, and I saw the movie pretty recently, so it's very, very fucking clear in my head. So, like I said, I apologize if I sound, you know, yeah. So general impressions, I thought it was pretty fucking terrible, pretty awful. Um, I've been following, all the all the stuff going on with Lucasfilm and Disney and the fans, ever since The Last Jedi came out, and I'll just briefly go over, as quickly as I can about The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi. The Force Awakens I liked, but it took me a while to realize that it's kind of just a popcorn film. It wasn't. It was just mainly potential, and like I know a lot of people complain that it was similar to A New Hope, which I do agree with. Um, but I just felt that since it's been 10 years since the last Star Wars film, I thought I guess I gave Disney a pass because I like the new characters like Rey, Finn, and Kylo. I wanted to know more about them. I want to know more about Snoke. And with The Last Jedi, a lot of defenders of The Last Jedi say that oh, you didn't your expectations weren't met, or you had this other idea of a film in your head. And personally for me, all I wanted from The Last Jedi was to show me how this sequel trilogy stood out from the other trilogies. And when I came out of The Last Jedi, I even called it, like, after I saw it, I called it, that was fantastic. But when I started watching reviews, like more negative reviews, which I didn't do for The Force Awakens, I just kind of hid myself off or just kind of ignored all the negative reviews for The Force Awakens because I didn't know how anybody could dislike it. And the same with The Last Jedi. But when I started watching reviews for The Last Jedi from a whole bunch of different YouTubers, I did kind of become interested to see, like, yeah, maybe I guess they didn't really have a roadmap. I didn't feel like The Last Jedi was felt like a sequel to The Force Awakens. I felt that, The Last Jedi was kind of its own thing. Even when I was watching The Last Jedi, when the credits started rolling, I was like, how the heck are they going to pick up after this one? And Last Jedi is just one of those films where at first you watch it and you like it, but when you analyze it, you start to see how big the flaws are. And let's just say I'm not a big fan of The Last Jedi anymore. And, after that, I've been following Lucasfilm, how they've responded to fan backlash, which fans, especially with Star Wars, have always been kind of doing. Just the stories that the media have been saying, all that stuff, with the actors, and let's blame the fans, calling us Russian trolls, which is which is just completely stupid. So with this movie, I wasn't really excited. I looked at the leaks. I didn't really care. It's unlike The Force Awakens and even The Last Jedi, where I didn't want to hear anything. This movie, I was kind of just done with Lucasfilm. I don't feel like they cared about the new characters. They used the legacy characters just for nostalgia. And yeah, it's obvious that they didn't have a clear roadmap to this whole trilogy, which is sad. So let's actually get into the film. One thing I kept telling myself while I was watching it was that this could have been so much better. This had potential. The Last Jedi tried different things, but the execution I thought, it just was pretty bad, especially with Luke Skywalker. But with The Rise of Skywalker, you look at The Last Jedi and The Force Awakens, and their stories, they're pretty linear, they're pretty clear. One thing follows another, but this movie, it's just like for the first hour, they're jumping from one place to another, and like these three main characters who you wished Poe and Finn and Rey were together throughout the entire sequel trilogy. You wish you saw more of them and you wish you saw them interact a lot more. And in this movie, mostly they just argue. Poe, like, I'll get into specifics a little bit. Let me just try to finish up this overall thing. So I need to talk about spoilers soon. Anyway, it looks like the movie looked like it didn't really give a shit. Kind of just gave up. It's like there's just a lot of like the best things I would say for like a general audience or a general Star Wars fan is that it has, a lot of music that you'll recognize from the original trilogy. Um, Duel of the Fates isn't in it. Spoilers, I didn't hear any form of Duel of the Fates, so it's clear that they're using nostalgia just to get people in the seats. That's all they really can do, which is just sad. Some of the action scenes are pretty good, fast paced, enjoyable. Um, Characters are pretty bad. Their arcs are just clumsy, goofy. Palpatine is back, which is just, I mean, I was never going to accept that. I hated that 100%. So, I mean, I guess that's as general as I can get. I'm sorry. Not the best at reviewing, I'll admit. But anyway, against the spoilers, I think it's worse than I honestly think it's the worst Star Wars movie I've ever seen. It's worse than Solo. It's worse than The Last Jedi. It's worse than Attack of the Clones and Phantom Menace. Which, genuinely, the only Star Wars movies I don't like would be like, Solo was okay. Last Jedi, it just has a lot of problems in it. Attack of the Clones was just really boring. Attack of the Clones was my least favorite Star Wars movie. Now this is, because this one left me just completely disappointed. I'm not going to lie. I went into it since I knew the leaks, and those leaks are, I would say 95% true, which is wow. I went into the film knowing about the leaks. So, of course my expectations were a little low. When the movie started, a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, Star Wars, I just didn't feel anything. I didn't get excited. My theater was like, there was like 5 people if you include me, 5 people, and this movie is not going to do good financially. It's not gonna reach $2 billion. I highly doubt it. I heard it's like doing bad in China. It's probably gonna do really good domestically. It's not getting good reviews from anybody. It's getting mixed at best, and it's not pleasing. It doesn't feel like it's pleasing anyone. I've watched a few reviews and people have said, there's good things here and there, but I'm just like, when I see like a movie, like when people describe a movie like, say, like it's fun, and this movie's not fun, I'm just like giving an example. When someone says a movie is fun or it's a good popcorn film, that tells me that the story's bad, it's goofy, it's dumb, but I don't know. It fun and popcorn film don't generally mean good. Like, I wouldn't describe The Dark Knight or like the Toy Story films as good popcorn films or fun. A movie can be fun and still be good. Like, the original trilogy is fun and they're awesome. Great characters. I don't really have to go into it. Great characters, great story, great action, great themes, all that good stuff. But this movie, it's jumbled. I didn't care about any of the characters, and I'm going to be jumping around. I didn't care about any of the characters. The opening crawl says, "The deaths speak!" Exclamation point. Like, what the fuck is that? The deaths, like, what? And it just says Palpatine just somehow sends a message to the galaxy or whatever, and Kylo's looking for him, and Rey's training to beat the First Order, and just all this stuff, and they're looking for wayfinders or something, and there's like a spy in the Resistance, and all that Hux stuff. Oh, spoilers now. Hux is the spy. He just comes out and says it, and he's the spy because he wants to see Kylo Ren lose, and then he dies like 5 minutes later. I never liked Hux, didn't care, and that's something else from the leaks. I thought it would lead somewhere. It doesn't. It's like, oh, there's a spy. Who gives a shit? Who gives a flying fuck, man? It's like, it's so forgettable. Poe, I hate Poe in this movie. He's just an arrogant, angry dude. I liked him in The Force Awakens. He was like this charming guy, really confident, but had his weaknesses, but was a great pilot. The Last Jedi, it tried to make him an asshole, and I'm just like, I'm still on Poe's side. I like the dude. I just felt like, why are they treating this character this way? And now in this movie, I just don't like Poe at all. He's running around all the time. I'm just like, this guy needs a break. I feel like he's just a completely arrogant, more terrible version of Han Solo. I just didn't like him at all. But yeah, man, like throughout the movie, I felt like hey, this could have been good. I like the stuff with like Rey, fighting her dark half, even though that scene was kind of goofy with Dark Rey and the sharp teeth. I'm just like, what the hell? Um, I liked I liked the scene where she's like, I'm gonna find Palpatine and I'm gonna destroy him, and Finn's like, that doesn't sound like you, Rey. And I was like, you could have really gone in different directions for that. Like I can kind of have, I'm imagining a story in my head of how Rey's parents, maybe they find out because apparently Palpatine is Rey's grandfather and Rey's father is the son of Palpatine. So it's just like, okay, who's the grandmother? That's what I'm like. This movie, it answers some questions, but it just brings up more. No, it answers some questions, but it brings up even more questions. Like, it gives you answers, but just brings up more questions too. So it's just like, okay. But yeah, I mean, my favorite part was Rey and Kylo fighting on the Death Star. And I think it was on Endor, over the water. I liked, after Kylo destroyed the Wayfinder, Rey got mad, and Kylo wasn't even fighting with his lightsaber. He was just kind of dodging and kind of playing self-defense. And like later on in that scene where Rey got tired and she was trying to attack Kylo, and Kylo's just like, Rey, like, what are you doing? She's just giving into her anger, and I like that. I'm just like, this is cool. If this was like the second movie and Rey gave into the dark side, and then like the next movie would have her trying to become good again, I thought that would be great. Like I said, there's a lot of potential in this movie. I liked Finn a little bit, and Jannah, that the other black chick. I liked her a little bit. I didn't like the fact that she was she just coincidentally just happens to also be a stormtrooper who also defected from the First Order because she didn't want to kill, just like Finn. And I felt that JJ planned that. He wanted, if he was doing all three movies, he wanted Finn to find like some other stormtroopers who defected. And I feel like, okay, that's kind of cool, but it's kind of too little too late. He doesn't really lead anywhere. Oh, Lando. The only scene I liked with Lando was when he first appeared and he hugged Chewie. After that, he was completely, I wouldn't say he was useless because he does something in the movie, but he's kind of forgettable. Him, Leia, Luke, Han, all forgettable. I'll get to all of them in a sec. But Lando, I like seeing Billy D. Williams, I guess. He didn't need to be, I don't know why it took them this long to introduce Lando. He should have been like in The Force Awakens. Where did he go? Why was he on that planet? I liked BB-8. I actually didn't mind at the end of the film where you hear all the Jedi voices. That's like really one of the few nostalgia moments I liked. So I thought that was kind of cool. Didn't like that fight though between Rey and Palpatine. That was god awful. I think that's it. Wrote down some notes here, and I can't really find anything else that I really liked. Oh, Rose wasn't that bad. She wasn't really in the movie that much. I mean, after she was terrible in The Last Jedi. She didn't need to be in The Last Jedi, but in this movie, she was there. She had like one really bad scene where Finn's like, it was near the end and Finn was on a ship and Finn's like, we gotta destroy that tower. And then Rose comes and passes by him and says, hopefully. I'm just like, why are you being so fucking negative? It's just like, why do they have to be annoying? And this movie, like, just like so many movies are doing nowadays, when there's a serious moment, right after that, like 10 seconds afterwards, they put a joke in. Just to say, oh, don't feel bad, don't feel emotional. I want to feel emotional, And they keep just throwing jokes at me. And the jokes just feel awkward. Kerry Russell's character is like Zori Bliss or whatever. I think that's her name. Her planet's destroyed. Okay. Her planet's destroyed and she comes back. I don't know how. I don't care. But let's get to the bad. Let's get to more of the bad. Like I said, the story's all over the place. Palpatine, as soon as I saw the trailer, the teaser, and he was back, that was official, like Star Wars. This trilogy is dead. They really had to bring back Palpatine. Snoke was a clone. A big tube of Snokes. I'm like, that just brings up way more questions. How did Snoke become Supreme Leader? How does a clone have dark side powers? How is this possible? Where did Palpatine come from? You watch Return of the Jedi, the second Death Star exploded into smithereens. Even before that, Palpatine is thrown into a shaft and you see the body explode. You see it explode, and there's vibrations, if that makes sense. It explodes and it vibrates all the way up to the top. And then the Death Star explodes. So he explodes twice. And then the big excuse of how he's back is a recycled line from episode 3. The dark side is a pathway to many abilities some consider to be unnatural. I'm like, fuck you. I mean, yeah, that leaves, you can use your imagination, but it's just at the end of the day, he shouldn't even be back. That ruins Return of the Jedi. That's the whole point of Anakin Skywalker still being the chosen one, even though he was Darth Vader. The scenes with Palpatine were dumb. I didn't like them at all. Again, I don't know why he's in this fucking movie. It's just there for nostalgia bait. If they would have hinted at him in The Force Awakens, then maybe it could have worked. I wish Snoke was still alive. Man, there's so much stuff to talk. I'm just gonna try to just ramble out right now. The speeder bike chase in the desert, as it went on, I could clearly see the green screen, and I'm just like, yeah. People are saying the visual effects for this movie are great. I mean, yeah, they are, but I'm just like, well, first of all, they had money, so who gives a shit? And it's Star Wars, so of course the visual effects are going to be adequate. But there's some scenes where it's just it's The Last Jedi. Let's just say The Last Jedi looks better than this film, in my opinion. But I personally don't really care how good a film looks. I mean, I want a film to look good. That's just a given. But I mean, it doesn't really matter how pretty it looks. You can just look at it. I can look at a photograph or an image from this movie and then forget about it in 2 seconds. Who gives a shit? If the story is bad, which it very much is in this movie, that's something you're going to remember. You're just going to remember the bad story. You're not going to give a damn about the individual shots. You can say some shots in the prequels look pretty good. But the prequels, I mean, overall, they're kind of bad movies. I like the prequels. I think they're pretty decent. But I mean, if the people say the prequels are worse than the sequels, I disagree. But I mean, I understand I can understand where you're coming from. Like I said, I the only thing I like about this movie is just seeing all the reviews online and just laughing at just people just really expressing their opinions, which I really enjoy. I really enjoy watching that kind of stuff because, sharing my opinions with how other people feel. But when you're actually in the theater and you're watching it, you just feel disappointed. If you're going to this movie thinking that it's going to conclude the sequel trilogy or the saga, then you're going to be really disappointed. I'm sorry. This movie is fucking terrible. Even critics are giving this some bad reviews. And now it might, I don't know if it'll flop, but people are saying it might flop. It's definitely not going to be as successful as Disney wanted to. This might be a repeat of Justice League, I think. We'll see how much it makes, at the end of its run. But let's continue with the movie. Leia, again, had a lot of potential. I wouldn't have mind seeing Leia actually be the one to train Rey. The flashback scene I thought was just I didn't like it. I just didn't expect Leia to be that good. I don't know. I thought she'd be more like Yoda, where she doesn't really use a lightsaber that much. She's just more with she uses the Force a bit more, if that makes sense. Or at the very least, I wish in The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi, you could see her use the Force. Just move, just move like a ball around, or just, levitate something throughout those movies. Just to clarify more that she's a lot more powerful in the Force. But in this movie, she survives being blown out in space in The Last Jedi, saves herself, something that no other Jedi could really do. And I mean, you can put in the comments about oh, well, this happened in the EU or in the expanded universe. Technically, that's not canon anymore, so it doesn't really matter if it happened in Star Wars, in Legends or the EU or whatever. I would still like to hear it, actually. I like hearing new Force powers. But like I said, with Leia, her death scene, I mean, I didn't really feel anything. I wasn't crying. It was sad. I thought Chewie's reaction was melodramatic. I'm sorry. I just thought it was. I don't know. I didn't feel much. I hated Poe, like I said, so Poe becoming general, I thought it was dumb. I did feel that Poe and Leia had a well, I don't know, I don't want to say chemistry. I would say, they had scenes together in the previous movies, but I just didn't like Poe in this movie, so I didn't care if he was general. I'm like, yeah, I would have made Finn acted more like a general than Poe did. Um, there's not a lot of scenes with Poe and BB-8. There's like one scene or about two scenes where Poe acknowledges BB-8. It's just like I thought these two were like buddies. That's what I'm saying. Like this truly, they don't give a shit about these new characters. It's like Rey. Okay, what's her little story? Oh, she's trying to find out who she is, and she has parents that we don't know. Finn, he used to be a stormtrooper. That's it. Poe, he's a great pilot, but he's kind of arrogant. That's it. And that's really it. It's not like Han, oh, he's a smuggler, and then you see him, making friends and becoming a hero. You see Luke being this naive farm boy who's very emotional and impulsive, and you see him having to become more of a man and control his emotions. He makes mistakes here and there, but you see that growth. You see that boy become a man. Leia, you see her, all the stuff she sacrificed, and she's finally like settling down with Han, and Luke is her brother now, and she's she doesn't have to really fight anymore. I don't know, you see all those arcs in the original trilogy, at least. You kind of see in the prequels too. Obviously with Anakin, wide-eyed, optimistic young boy becomes evil. You see that. You see Obi-Wan becoming stoic and then growing to actually care about Anakin, and seeing that he failed, trying to do better. In this movie, I mean, you don't really get to see these characters really grow organically. It's just like, we need this character to do this. We need Finn because he knows stuff about the First Order. Like, there's a scene where they're going to rescue Chewie, who's been captured at this point. They go into the hangar, and there's nobody there. They just enter the hangar. The hangar has like no shields. There's no guards. They just hop out of their ship and start running to find Chewie. I'm just like, where the fuck are the guards? Where are the TIE fighters? These hangars are usually filled with fucking people. What the hell? Rey's able to like stop a ship from leaving orbit with the Force. She can levitate with so many rocks around her, and just like she's like a superhero. She's able to heal people, or like give her Force energy to heal people. Where did that come from? Like, how did she learn that? There's this big debate that's gonna go on forever on whether or not she's a Mary Sue or not. And I'm like, even if she was a Mary Sue, you could still use that for the story. Like, that's what I'm saying. She could be a Sith. She's able to learn things so fast, and she's so powerful, and she's just so quick. Oh, it's not just because she's the daughter of Palpatine, but she's really strong in the dark side. Like in The Last Jedi, when Luke says, you went to the dark side, you didn't even try to fight it. And that could have been interesting, but it's just like, she's just powerful. I'm just like, I didn't even care at that point, because not that like I didn't mind it. I did mind it, but I just didn't care, because I'm just like, it's not like they're really gonna have it's not like they have a good explanation for this. She's just powerful, and I just didn't care. R2 is probably my third or second favorite. I would say he's my second favorite Star Wars character. Luke Skywalker, R2-D2, and Darth Vader are my three favorite Star Wars characters. They don't give a flying fuck about R2. The Force Awakens, he's just a MacGuffin. He wakes up, gives him the rest of the map. Last Jedi, he helps Luke get off his ass. This movie, I can't remember what he did. He C-3PO is basically the Empire. It's basically C-3PO from Empire, but 30 times more annoying. He loses his memory, which is at first is heartwarming, but I mean, again, they just play a joke right after that. He loses his memory, and then he goes through the whole amnesia bullshit, which I hate. I hate that whole, I forgot, like someone loses their memory, like in Spider-Man 3. I hate that. And then he goes back to R2, and R2 fixes his memory. What was the point of him deleting his memory to begin with? I don't get it. Like, what's the point of that? But yeah, that's all R2 does. They don't give a shit about R2. Even though the dude has saved people in mostly all the movies. D-O, that little other droid, completely useless. Looks like a ripoff of Wall-E. There's a scene that's also a complete ripoff of Vader's revelation in Episode 5. with where Vader tells Luke that he's his father. You know, it's Rey, and she's in the hangar, and you know she looks back, and there's nothing, there's nowhere for her to go, just like Luke in Episode 5. Kylo's saying, "Come with me, join me, Rey. Palpatine is your grandfather," and there's a shot of Rey, you know, just like, "Oh my God, are you kidding me?" Just like Episode 5, complete fucking ripoff. Oh, I guess I'll just. Oh, Maz. Maz is in this movie. I hate Maz. Fuck Maz. Terrible character. I don't know why she's in this movie. It's just like, you're back. Gross. I think Maz is probably one of my least favorite characters in this trilogy, honestly. I didn't care about her. There's this other character that's like, news articles were saying, this character from The Force Awakens is going to return. He kind of reminds, like, the character that's kind of, you know, kind of fat, kind of reminds me of Porkins. And I'm just like, okay, I don't care about this character. He's just some random one-off. I don't know if he died. I can't remember if he did. I don't think he did. I don't know. I didn't care. What else? Luke Skywalker. Everything with Luke was terrible. The worst scene in the fucking movie was when he was lifting the X-Wing. That shit should have been in the Last Jedi, not in this movie. And how is a Force Ghost able to hold things? For people who didn't like Yoda, like, bringing down lightning from the sky, you're gonna hate this shit. He's able to lift an X-Wing. He's able to use the Force from beyond the grave. He's able to hold things. The Jedi could just fight this war just being ghosts. It's like that scene in Lord of the Rings, you know? Oh, man. It's just like there's no rules anymore. They're just doing whatever the hell they want to do. Jesus Christ. I hated that scene. And especially because they're playing the same music from Episode 5 when Luke was lifting the X-Wing, and they're playing that exact same music from that scene when Yoda did it in Episode 5. I hated that shit. That would have been great if it was in The Last Jedi, and he actually went to Crate. That would have been cool, but it's in this movie for some reason. Jesus. Like, Rey is so powerful, why didn't you just make her do it? Everywhere where Luke failed, Rey succeeded. And Kylo Ren or Ben Solo meeting Han Solo. That scene with Han Solo was, I don't think he was a Force Ghost. I think that was just in Kylo's mind, I guess. You know, they try to leave it ambiguous, but they're only doing that because they don't really have an explanation. They're just like, I guess they just need Han Solo in the movie. I didn't like that scene. I thought it was, Kylo Ren looks so emo. Jesus Christ. Like, in every single one of these sequel trilogy movies, Kylo Ren in the beginning seems badass and like he's very threatening. But I mean, like as these films go on, he just becomes less threatening. He just becomes more of a loser. And I don't care about Kylo. The dude, like, he becomes good and he helps out Rey, but Palpatine pushes him off a cliff. He falls, and then after Palpatine's dead, he climbs back up. How the fuck did he climb back up? What? And then, oh my God, Rey is dead. How did she die? I don't know. She kills Palpatine after hearing the voices of all the other Jedi, which I didn't mind. You know, I kind of liked hearing all the other Jedi. I thought it was kind of cool. Like hearing Qui-Gon again. I'm like, oh, they got Liam Neeson back. But again, just more nostalgia. But anyway, yeah, she defeats Palpatine and she dies, I guess. And then Kylo learns how to heal people too, because Rey healed him like earlier when they were fighting on the Death Star. He heals her, and then she's alive, and then they kiss. I'm just like, really? I saw like spoilers on Twitter before I went into the movie. I saw a screenshot of Rey and Kylo kissing, and I'm like, are they fucking serious? They're really gonna make these two a thing? Like people joked about, oh, it feels like Twilight. It really did feel like Twilight. I'm just like, why? What? Like I was, I don't know. I was prepping for it because I already saw the leaks and the photos. So when I was in the theater, I'm just like, oh no. I just prayed it was just like, I prayed it wasn't gonna happen, and it happened. I'm just like, I mean, it could have, honestly, it could have worked if these two had a better relationship or whatever, but, whatever. You know, they keep giving Finn new love interests, I guess. First movie it was Rey or Poe, however you want to see it. Second movie it was Rose, and yeah, that's not in this movie. And this movie it was kind of Jannah, I guess, but I'm just like, I don't know. I guess they want to pair him up with a black girl this time because him, and Rose didn't do well in China. I've heard, but yeah, that kiss between Rey and Kylo was terrible. And again, it just if I didn't see those leaks, I would have like, what the fuck? That just comes out of nowhere. Um, now that I'm actually talking about the movie, now I'm actually forgetting stuff. Talked about Maz. Everything with Luke was just terrible. Yeah, Rey just had so much power that wasn't like they really did not give a damn. They didn't care where Rey got her power. She just has these powers now. And apparently Luke Skywalker and Lando went to go out to find Palpatine because somehow they knew he was alive. Don't ask me how. They went to go find some stupid wayfinder. How is Palpatine alive? What is this Exegol place? How the hell, if Palpatine's alive, how did he recruit all these Sith troopers and all these Death Star destroyers? Why the hell are we always doing something with the Death Star? Seriously. The Force Awakens, it's Starkiller base, the Death Star, but bigger. The Last Jedi, right after the First Order lose their fleet, they immediately still have a whole bunch of stuff and a whole bunch of equipment. They have this big battering ram cannon or whatever that's built from Death Star tech. Where the fuck did they get that? And now there are fucking millions or thousands at least of Death Star destroyers. How did they build that? How did they get there's still no world building. Like the New Republic were they I don't know. And just to drop this in, The Mandalorian is great. I really like The Mandalorian. I don't love it, but I mean, I'm enjoying it. I feel like that's Star Wars. That's something that's like I can assume is leading somewhere, you know. I'm enjoying The Mandalorian. I like it. So if anybody wants to tell me that I'm just a Disney Star Wars hater, I really don't care, to be honest. But I mean, I like The Mandalorian. I mean, I enjoyed Solo, even though I wouldn't say it's a good movie. Rogue One I thought was pretty good, to be honest. I liked Rogue One. Loved the ending to Rogue One. I really loved the ending to Rogue One. But this movie, like I said, it doesn't care. It was just, it felt like a stupid summer blockbuster. Like, Star Wars is just stupid. This is like the Star Wars movie for the lowest common denominator. And I think that's why everybody hates it. People who like The Last Jedi probably don't like this one. People who didn't like The Last Jedi are definitely not going to like this one. All three of these films feel like they're sequels to three different movies. I think I talked about Hux being a spy. I like the fact that Hux died 10 minutes afterwards, after he said, I'm a spy. And right before Poe and Finn and Chewie are about to die, they argue. You guys are about to die and you're arguing. How pathetic is that? I think my favorite character in this movie, honestly, was General Pride, because he seemed like a character that should be in Star Wars. I'm like, I like this guy. You know, I like the fact that he's consistent and he's threatening, he's commanding, he's serious. I like that shit. The Knights of Ren, they're basically Snoke's Patronian, those red guards in The Last Jedi that had that big scene. That's basically the Knights of Ren, but the Knights of Ren are a bit cooler, in my opinion. They're just foot soldiers, you know. There could have been a story with them, but hey, Rian Johnson just threw that shit out the water. So thanks. The Last Jedi is probably the main reason this movie sucks, but I mean, I know a lot of people are blaming Kathleen Kennedy, and I'm gonna have to too, because there's no roadmap. You should have got all three directors together and say, okay, what do we want to do for all three of these movies? I don't know why the fuck you're going to take one movie one step at a time. Why the fuck would you do that for something like Star Wars? I mean, at least George Lucas, he always had a plan. He had a plan for 9 films. From since the 80s, if I recall. He had a story for all 9 films. All 9 of them. Would George Lucas's 7, 8, and 9, would they have been better than what we got from Disney? I believe so. They could have just been like the prequels again, where it didn't feel like Star Wars. Fans wouldn't really like it, but I don't think it would have been this bad, you know? This is terrible. This movie's fucking terrible. I just felt sad, angry, and just disappointed. That's the biggest thing. I was just disappointed. I knew it was going to be kind of bad because all the reviews were saying it. Everybody was saying it's bad, but I mean, it's depressing. I didn't. It had potential. Not necessarily this movie, but they just missed so many opportunities. They didn't focus on the characters. They didn't take time to like really develop these new characters. And I'm sorry, they didn't. They really didn't. They're just like cookie cutter characters. I don't give a shit about them. I wanted to know more about them. The Last Jedi didn't want to tell us more about them. And this movie tried to tell us more about them, but I didn't, it's too little too fucking late. The story's all over the place, like I said. Man, I know I'm missing out some stuff, man. I know I'm missing out something. Luke looking for Exegol or whatever was dumb. Palpatine coming back was dumb. The opening crawl was stupid. The hyperspace skipping, which, I mean, it's cool. But again, it's just so, that summarizes the whole movie. It's just going from one place to another. And it's going so fast at times. No, yeah, it's going so fast. It's just like, what's the point of this? What is the point of this? They treat the Falcon like shit. They just crash it. They break it multiple times. I'm just like, can this Falcon just be destroyed? Oh, I didn't even talk about the ending. Rey going to Tatooine for no fucking reason. Going to Luke's home. Why? She doesn't know Luke that much. I actually liked one of my favorite moments in this movie was at the ending when like Rey was sliding down into Luke's home, just like in The Force Awakens. I'm like, okay, that's cool because that actually tells me you give a shit about these new characters you're creating. I like that. I like those little moments. When Rey was sliding down, I'm like, oh, that immediately reminded me of the first movie. I'm like, oh, that's like a nice bookend. I like that stuff. That's cool. You know, it adds that Rey likes, you know, she's used to the sand. She likes that kind of environment, which is different. You know, most people in Star Wars, they hate Tatooine. I'm not saying she, and Rey, you know, she likes that kind of stuff. You know, she's used to it, at least. I like seeing her bury, you know, Leia and Anakin's lightsabers in the sand. I thought that was nice. I like her new lightsaber. I thought that was cool. It looks like her staff. I'm like, okay, that's pretty neat. I don't know why BB-8's there. Honestly, I really don't know why the fuck BB-8 went with her. And then some random chick just says, "Who are you?" "I'm Rey." "Rey who?" And then you see Luke and Leia's ghosts for some reason. I don't care. And she says, "I'm Rey Skywalker." Star Wars. Fuck off. God, man. Just forgot about something else I was going to Oh, yeah. Just a little, if you want to call it a nitpick or whatever, I don't care. Finn mentions when they're on Kilimanjaro, or whatever the hell that planet was. Finn mentions that, didn't the war end on Endor? And I read on Wikipedia that the rebellion and the Empire War ended on Jakku, where the Empire surrendered on Jakku. That's the location of where the war ended, according to what I recall from Wikipedia. So, and that's why you saw the X-Wing and that big Star Destroyer there, because that's where the war ended. But apparently it ended on Endor. And how the fuck the Death Star was blown into smithereens, but half of the thing is still on Endor? I'm like, what? And it's all intact. And they used the dumb dagger to just, luckily, fortunately, it lines up with the location of where the fucking Wayfinder is on the Death Star, which it's just so obvious. It's near the throne room. Oh, that was easy. Dagger was so useless. That was just, I don't know. That was stupid. And then when Rey is when she's in the throne room, they play the music of when Luke unmasked Anakin in Return of the Jedi. Like I'm saying, man, like, John Williams, I love the dude. The only memorable musical themes in the sequel trilogy is Rey's theme and Kylo's theme. And maybe the Resistance theme, but I don't really like the Resistance theme. Kylo's theme, Rey's theme I really like. But like I said, man, just reusing stuff. I don't care. This doesn't feel like the end to the sequel trilogy, or it sure as hell does not feel like an end to all 9 films, the Skywalker Saga, which is bullshit. You didn't hear them call it the Skywalker Saga during The Force Awakens, or Rogue One, or The Last Jedi, or Solo. But when episode 9 comes out, oh yeah, it's the end of the Skywalker saga. Go fuck yourself. That scene in the teaser trailer when Rey faces Kylo in the TIE fighter, and like she literally like they okay, so after the whole speeder bike chase, I think they find the ship, and then Rey leaves because she senses Kylo, and she goes to face him, and then Chewie leaves to find Rey, and then he's captured, and then Rey faces Kylo and beats him, and then jeez, it's just you have to see them. Like, I'm not gonna say don't see the movie, because if you're a Star Wars fan, I honestly think you should see the movie. You know, you might like it. I mean, if you like it, then wow. But if you, I mean, just I would say at least watch it. You know, I hated it. I thought it was worse than The Last Jedi. At least The Last Jedi has, like I said, this happens, then that happens. You know, it's clear. In this one, you know, I really didn't care. Last Jedi at least gave a shit. And I already know they're going to blame the fans, how they ruined Star Wars because, you know, God forbid Disney actually admits, or Lucasfilm actually admit, you know, they probably did a bad job. God forbid they do that. The actors I'm already reading, like, they're voicing their honest opinions now. I guess I wouldn't say I went into the movie wanting to hate it. I do want it to fail. I'm sorry. I really do want it to fail, because we're not going to get anything good unless we get some failure. Because like there are a couple of YouTubers, at least not really couple, but like when people say, you know, let's just stop blaming everybody, let's like bring positivity and everything like that. I'm just like, I'm sorry, fuck that shit. You know, no, this sucks. This Disney stuff sucks. This backlash, like, I feel like for the most part it is justified. I'm not for like attacking any actors or anything like that. But yeah, they don't, all these characters, even like characters like Holdo, or especially like Snoke, like, why are they there? They're just in one movie and then they die. They are not significant at all. In the previous Star Wars movies, if a character comes in one episode, he's at least significant for that episode. Like, I would say Dexter Jettster is like a character that did not need to be in the movie. But there's some characters, like, they're there once, they do something significant, and then, you know, they have, I don't know, their screen time is meaningful. Like I said, man, this trilogy could have been so much better. They could have, like, I like the fact that Finn's Force sensitive. They could have made him the main character. I think that Rey should have been more cynical in The Force Awakens, and, you know, she was desperate to find some kind of family because her family left her, or she was abandoned by them or whatever, and she, you know, goes to the dark side because she feels like that's her answer to find out where she belongs or something. This shit could have been so much better, man. I think I talked about everything I wanted to. I really apologize if things were just all over the place. I didn't really want to write down a script because I would just start forgetting stuff. But this movie was fucking garbage. This movie was terrible. Ultimately, just one word to describe it: disappointing. And not disappointing in the way is like, you know, it was not like Spider-Man 3 disappointing, where it's like, you know, I wanted it to be this, but it didn't really meet my expectations. So it was not like a little disappointing, but like this was just like, I knew it was going to be bad, but actually seeing it, I'm like, wow, when you get what you wish for, and it's just like after this, I don't really want to see any more Star Wars. Like, I don't want to see any more trilogies. I really don't want to see anything from the Skywalkers or Rey. Like, I really don't. I just don't care. Push the next few films like 100 years into the future. And like, what's the next film going to be about? Is the Sith going to come? There's going to be some dark side users. They're just not going to be called the Sith. They're going to be called Dark Side or whatever. Some lame name. We thought Anakin destroyed the Sith. Apparently not. So Rey had to do it. Again. What's stopping Palpatine from coming back again? Clones? Like cloning and shit? Cloning Snoke? God, Jesus, man. You knew when they bring back Palpatine, they had no fucking idea what they were doing. They were desperate. Why the fuck would you bring back Palpatine? Every scene with Luke was terrible. Leia's death was forgettable. Poe was terrible. Chewie at first was like my favorite character. Then he got captured. Didn't put up a fight. And I'm just like, yeah, I don't like Chewie anymore. And I thought they killed Chewie like that. I'm just like, even though we knew he wasn't really going to die, come on. R2's treated like garbage. BB-8 was okay. Overall, I guess, you know, for me, it's the worst Star Wars movie. It really is. I haven't seen the Clone Wars animated film yet, But in terms of like live action, this is easily the worst Star Wars movie. So let me know in the comments what you guys thought of the movie. I think I touched upon everything I wanted to. So, if you like this video, then like it, subscribe, follow me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all that shit. Like always, thank you for watching, thank you for listening, and have a good day.